Hello, and welcome to Toronto Ultra's Merk and Maven podcast, here to recap Major 5. A wild one. I know we've been having a lot of guests recently, but the champs run-up is here. We just want to recap the Major, and we have a ton of episodes coming. We're going to highlight players. But for now, we just want to talk Major 5, Joe.
It's the Merk and Maven podcast for a reason. Wow, what did I just say? It is the Merk and Maven podcast for a reason. That is, so it's us. Yeah, Ultra, we didn't have an episode last week. They were getting ready for the Major. Sorry about that, but we're coming back with you this week. Next week, we should have a guest. And then the following week, which is, I believe, the week before champs, we want to have someone on and do like bracket building. So it's sort of like a pre-champs episode where we build some brackets. So that should be some fun ones. But Toronto was, as you said, a very crazy event. A lot of things that I don't really think a lot of people saw happening, but it was also a great time. We love being in Toronto.
Yeah, no, that like setup with like the venue, grocery store, hotel, fans, players, all within like 50 yards.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I need.
I know. That's literally your dream, your haven for every single event to be that. So
that's why I'm moving to Columbus to get near Joe, and I could get an apartment like anywhere, but I'm getting an apartment like in his neighborhood, so I just walk and say hi.
Yeah. So that's who knows what's gonna happen when that happens.
Real quick, we got to preface: anything stupid I say doesn't count.
Okay.
So long story short,
go ahead and tell them.
I'm trying to catch up in Warzone ranked to my friends so I can play with them. I haven't played as much. Zelda was out. I'm a bit behind. I'm like platinum.
We were gone for a week.
Yeah, we're gone for a week too. I woke up at 2:30 in the morning, couldn't fall back asleep. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna solo grind, get to Diamond, surprise Joe. I played solo Warzone ranked all night. Didn't have a teammate that spoke English. It was a mess. And here I am.
How much SR do you think you got over about those 5 hours?
100. But then you and I got like 4 to 5, so it was a good day.
Yeah, honestly, it's tough. You and I are duo queuing because, I think I could play with Crimson. I could play with like Chris, but Chris can't play with you. Yeah. So I'm trying to get you there, pal. I am. It is
just you and I, because we have a third that is like a plant. Like
I don't even know if it's a plant. I think is more useful. We could eat a plant.
Did it get more than oxygen? 1 kill? Could I like more than
I don't know. Maybe the cheater, John Wick.
Oh, yeah, he was cheating his ass off. Yeah.
John Wick. Well, the good thing is for you, I'm gone this weekend. So if you want to catch up, you could, or we could just play Diablo.
I will definitely be playing Diablo. Fuck Warzone.
That is going to be an out of context clip if I could see it. No doubt about it. So yeah, next week we'll get you in a diamond. We'll make it. I believe.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I just haven't played much. It's not that bad.
Yeah. No, it's we just gotta stay alive. Have patience. You and I don't have much of that.
Yeah, you hidden like so many bushes the one game. I was worried you had thorns like in your butthole. Like you were every bush, bro.
I did actually, yeah. No, there was a lot of thorns.
Anyway, Major 5.
Yeah, it's a Major 5. If we want to show the bracket off to the people, just a little recap here. New York ends up winning the final 4-3 over Atlanta Faze. We'll get to that grand finals down the line. We're just going to basically go team by team, starting with 9 through 12. But Maeve, we had probably the unluckiest event as casters of all time. There were 12 sweeps, all of Major 5. The next highest in a CDL tournament was 8. So all 5 of our matches that we casted from Thursday to Sunday, which was 5, we casted 5 sweeps. They all 5.
Listen, I love casting just in general in a LAN environment. Yeah. But like casting, try to get to word this. Casting like really thrilling games and bangers is very easy. You're just into it. The crowd's into it. It's great. Lopsided 3-0s over and over and over again is hard. It's just like it's not fun. Like there was no drama. Like it was such a weird weekend, man. Like I've been casting since 2013. I started with Halo, so 10 years. I've never had that. Never.
In like obviously like some of the times when you watch like a Faze who is a part of a lot of the sweeps or your top teams and you watch a sweep and you're just like, man, that was impressive. It really was. And like maybe the first Faze versus Legion one was, but everyone was kind of pulling for Legion, and then we casted Legion later where they kind of got smoked, and it was just like, man, it's just not the storylines everyone was looking for.
Yeah, we didn't cast Ultra at all, which sucked. But like,
yeah,
it reminded me of. I don't really love casting online. I mean, I can. There are matches that I do, but like when we had the schedule for a couple of years, you and I did like Saturday and Sunday matches, and we casted like every Faze match because they would always be in like that last slot. And for like 2 years, we just basically casted Faze 3-0 shit on people, and I got so bored, bro. like COVID and just Faze 3-0s. It's like all I remember. And
yeah,
whew.
It was a tough one. It was a tough one. What can you do though? Maybe we're just saving the best for last. We have champs coming up in a couple of weeks, and then what's crazy to say is the year is done. But let's start with our 9 through 12. We'll start. I guess let's start with Breach.
Sure.
Kind of a surprising one. They do pretty well in the qualifiers. They obviously start in our winners. They lose 3-2 to Rokkr in a game 5. But this major, they're 0-4 in hard points. Crimp and Beans both struggled. Crimp had a 0.69. And then they go down on losers and they lose to London. In London's first local area network match win of the year, Maeve. Of the entire year. In this Breach team, who has had now a couple of changes, has luckily put themselves in a spot to qualify for champs. But this is not the showing you want at all. A couple of weeks out of champs.
Well, they ain't qualifying because of land. I'll tell you that. Like they are 4-10 on the season in majors. They're 14-10 online in qualifiers. So like, do I think they're gonna do much of champs?
Dude, what's crazy too is like, obviously with Zin, and they're a newer org, and I think their major was very well done. I really had a good time in Boston.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Yeah, the crowd was great. They've kind of created themselves as a villain now, where every single match somebody was playing them was just booze on their side, and that obviously goes back to the sound EQ thing with Rokkr.
Winners, yeah.
If you didn't hear the story, basically, Minnesota had their home series in Boston. Like, you could choose not to play with sound EQ because you're on LAN, and they decided to play with it. And everyone kind of scratched their head as to why that was.
I don't even know why it's allowed and why the CDL can't just handle it. I still don't get it. Like,
I don't know. Well, we don't have to worry about it. Hopefully, we're done.
We're done.
We're
viewer, like, get in and make sure shit's off. Like,
yeah, whatever. But can't you just like turn it back on real quick?
Can't you just have like a camera on that or someone with access to the PC? Like, there's got to be a way around it. There's got to be a way around it.
Well, hopefully.
Anyway,
we're at the end of this title, and maybe we're done with that. Hopefully, we just have dead silence next year or a ninja, whatever we want to call it. Footsteps that aren't really loud.
If not, it's like a sort of permanent problem. The only good thing is like loudness equalization's like not a thing anymore. Really, you have to like go out of your way to get it on new PCs. Like, it doesn't. You don't have that enhancements tab. You don't have that. You have to like change registry stuff. You have to like reg edit stuff to like get that on certain builds. So like, hopefully it's just like disappearing, even though you can do it with like other stuff. I just hope it's not a long-term problem. We'll see.
Yeah, hopefully so. And then also we just got news this week about potentially Boston. I don't even know if this is allowed. I think the league's gonna have to approve it. I don't know if Snoopy is a sub, but another potential Boston Breach change going into champs. Where Snoopy would likely place Vivid, is the rumor at the moment.
Yeah.
Listen, I think I just had some very brief thoughts. Obviously, whatever they are trying to figure out hasn't worked. They're maybe looking for a little bit more firepower. I know this Snoopy kid. I mean, I've heard, well, because he just joined Boston, I think like a month or so ago.
He's on the academy team, so it's like,
yeah, I mean, supposedly he's nuts. Yeah. I've heard he's insane. And I watched him a little bit. He does seem very solid, but it's just one of those things like, do you want to go into a high pressured situation like this where you're playing OpTic winners round 1?
How do you not, though? Like, how do you not?
This team is just a mess.
But
how do you not?
There's so much money and like the chant. I think you have to, bro. Like,
yeah.
Well, what's challengers for? How much money?
Challengers champs? I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. Was it like 250K versus 1.5 mil or something? I actually am just making up numbers right now. But
Yeah,
like it's
that
it's
works.
got to be wildly. Like I wonder what, I don't know, like a last place finishes is versus like a top 3 at challengers. I'd have to get into it, but I don't see how you would turn this down. The only part I don't really like is it's just fuckery in the sense of like I saw tweets of one of his teammates, I think, or somebody like pro points wise just got utterly like fucked to the point they're not even like going to be able to go to champs. Like this last second stuff, like always screws somebody. I just feel like this probably shouldn't be allowed. Like after the last major, that should be locked, right? It's just
Yeah.
weird because if he's on the academy team, he's like, and I don't know if he is technically a sub, but if he is, then okay. But just weird, bro.
Yeah, no, very weird. I mean, I think this points to the fact that this team's a little bit broken right now. You still had Nero on the bench
Yeah.
as well. Your best placing is probably with Nero, Vivid. Would you get like a top 4 with that duo? Listen, I've liked what I've seen from Kremp at times. He seems to be a very slaying sub, but it's like, do you risk another experiment or do you just go back to maybe what kind of worked? Like you got a top 4. I mean, that's your best showing.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So I guess we'll see with the Boston Breach Camp. Obviously, a very disappointing major for them. They struggled big time. So we'll see what happens. And we'll talk about the champs bracket later, but not an easy one for Boston Breach and winners round 1. LAG. I don't think we have a ton to say about this team. They have been a bit of a mess. Obviously, it's really unfortunate what happened to the players, what's happened to the org. It seems like they've gotten put into a tough spot. They end up losing. They get 9-12. They get 3-0 by NYSL. I think it's. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like the whole. You see, like the Alec and like what Vickle said today. Like
I did not.
Tweeted out, like sort of kind of called Alec out a little bit before, like sort of like weird, immature behavior, kind of. And
Okay.
I know we've kind of heard some things or saw tweets after matches, and it seems like Alec was kind of going through it mentally. And I get it when you go from a phase to that situation. But I kind of thought from my POV probably could have handled it a bit better. It always seemed a little weird to me on social, just some of the stuff we'd hear. And it was probably a real just tough situation there, bro.
Yeah, I think what's unfortunate is I like kind of what they did from step 1. After the first major in Raleigh, you bring in the academy team, right? It was a very broken roster, and then they just said screw it. They said, all right, our academy team is winning. Let's just put them into the CDL. Obviously, you had Alec instead of who was it? I can't think of the name at the moment, but anyways, you just put that roster together. Joe Deceives, I think he's showed out at times. Exceeding Assault are still very good players. It just seems to be a very tough position in general. So maybe we'll see some of these guys in the CDL next year. Some of the younger guys, maybe they've earned a spot, maybe they haven't. There's a lot. I mean, it sounds like this roster mania might be one of the craziest ones. I know there's contracts that are up. There's new teams potentially coming in. There's got to be new ownership. So it's going to get wild, Maeve.
No, we especially with like what's going on with the title and how similar it might be to this. I still don't understand exactly what's happening. Like we might be
Diamond Con was the name I was thinking of. Diamond Con.
Yeah. I was like reading a tweet while you said that. And I'll share like this Alec Vickle stuff with you later so you can look through it, but it was kind of nuts. But I think we have a lot of like first, bro. I don't know, just in the sense of like the title change, just a lot of like teams in flux. Like there's not been a ton of consistency over the past couple of years outside of like Faze, kind of like just from a sort of result standpoint. I'm sure it's
like
gonna be a
Faze, Ultra, Thieves, OpTic, like
consistency wise, probably like Faze, Ultra, Thieves, probably over the last couple of years. But if done this year, I know OpTic 100%. But I'm sure there's been a ton of changes.
Yeah, consistent results. Speaking of OpTic, maybe you're thinking they're consistently last. They haven't been. They've actually, placed it pretty well. Back-to-back seconds. And then they follow up with this. Speaking of 9-12 teams, we'll move on from LAG. Hopefully some of those guys bounce back. OpTic, after 5-0 qualifiers, they go 0-6. They lose 3-0 to Florida, which maybe that shouldn't come as a surprise, but it still does. Maybe I just thought this roster, it wouldn't happen to them. And then they drop down and play LA Thieves 3-0, which that one not not as surprising to me. It's more the way it happened. I think watching OpTic this weekend, it kind of they just looked lost. It felt like something was off. Like their teamwork wasn't there. They seemed like a mess. The slang wasn't there. I think Dashy was the only player positive in control. Everyone outside of that was negative. And again, your stats aren't going to look good when you're 0-6 in map count. But wow, did not see this one coming.
I got cooked like a couple tourneys back when we did an episode before, and it was like after OpTic went like 4-1. And I said, like, listen, OpTic could come in and win the thing, or they could get double bopped. Like, it wouldn't shock me. Because I thought that less and less as time went on, obviously in the 2 second places, but like they still, I think, more than like your maybe more structured teams, like I guess Ultra, Faze, maybe Thieves come to mind. Like I still, as good as OpTic are, I still think if you put those 4 teams together and like the player or two are having an off day, I guess I still feel like OpTic would get hit the hardest by like just a poor, like a low skill day, like a poor shooting day, just not being hot. I still think they're gonna get punished from time to time. They've gotten a lot better, but
is your laundry done? What's what's
dude? That's what I was trying to turn off earlier, bro.
I wasn't sure. I
didn't even hear it. Sorry.
I heard the beeping a couple of times, and it kept going. Dude, I was like, man,
bro, I didn't know it was coming through. That's why I tried to deal with earlier. It's cat's doing laundry. But like, I don't even think it's as much as what I just said. Is it's just like you went 5-0, confidence at an all-time high. You think you're going to cruise. You're on back-to-back seconds. You're still a young team that is like, I think still needs more time to be polished to become like a consistent champion type team. It's a young squad. You just, I think it's just overconfidence. He came in, got thumped.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is Ghosty did tweet that he was sick.
He's a big part of like their.
Yeah, he's a big part of it. What we talked about, based on what we are hearing around sort of the league and what we hear in the listen-ins. But the fact is like, even with him sick, everyone else still got fried. Like that's my.
I think
thing.
He's that important though. I really do. Like all those dumb motherfuckers that say Ray's gone. That's the reason they're succeeding. You are a fucking moron. Like Ghosty is so important to this team from like a comp standpoint and how to play the game. Just any listening and just talking to the guy about COD. Like he is so important. So I do, much as I don't want to like use that excuse, like if he really wasn't feeling well and like maybe the comms were off, the energy was off, whatever it was, maybe a little added pressure with Karma coming in, like it's probably a lot of stuff, but
well, Karma said he didn't really have any part of this.
I'm sure. Yeah, he showed up and
went. We could touch on that for a second, but I just feel like this was a wasted opportunity for OpTic. You had Florida. You then would have played Minnesota Rokkr. Both of those teams.
You had a breeze bracket,
I think you had a really good shot at a top 3. After that, kind of who knows what happens. You would have played Faze in the winners bracket final. We know they own that matchup. This tournament to me is just a huge opportunity. Luckily, they've earned a second seed. So they still have a very good champs bracket. Again, we'll get to that, but man, I guess what we always say, there's 2 things we say about the last event. Typically, if you win the last event and champs is a couple weeks later, you have a very good chance of winning champs, right? Like if you look back at LA Thieves last year, United in the past, OpTic in the past, basically go down the list of champs winners. I think there's a couple who didn't win the event before it. Or they won one very close to it. So, and then the other thing I will say is if you're going to need a wake-up call, it's probably needs to be this one. At least you have 3 weeks to kind of regain, maybe for Dan to get healthy and to bounce back from it.
See, I think the wake-up call is very like true to point when it's like you're coming off a couple of seconds, you're finally hitting form, the confidence is there. Like it reminds me of like Cold War Faze. When they got top 4 in Major 5 before champs, I knew they were winning champs. Because they'd won everything. They got slapped in the face a little bit right before champs. I'm like, they're going to shit on people. Because it was just like a little wake-up call. I know it was just a top 4, but like you'd won everything else. I remember thinking like, little wake-up call, remind them they're not invincible. I think this should be, albeit a lot more drastic for OpTic with going 0-6, but it should be we got to lock in. It is time to go hard in these next couple of weeks. I would not be surprised if it's a very good thing for them. Even though, like,
yeah.
Yeah,
Again, they have Boston round 1, so I think that's a good kind of start to your tournament with sort of the shape of that team's in. But it's like I know we talk about a wake up call.
Oh, they got maybe at stage 5. Never mind. They got like top 8.
Yeah, it was not good. That's when they lost to Nikki D.
Yeah.
But I guess just like I figured second is a wake up call. I mean, I was saying this last year about Faze. I was like, this all right. The next one's got to be theirs, right? Like if you get second, that's where you're like you're this close. But maybe with, I mean, listen, the community's been behind them. The OpTic fans have been fired up.
Wake up call.
It's
different.
Yeah, if we're beatable, like very beatable, like we got to get on our shit type thing.
Yeah, I think they probably maybe they weren't convinced they were necessarily the best team once you got to LAN. Like they definitely had a little more success online, but like I think you were starting to convince yourselves that like, hey, we got a chance to win champs, chance to be the best team. Like we are there. And I think a little reminder, maybe you're not quite there yet, pushes them to make the run. Who knows? I mean, if they end up winning champs, I'm telling you that 06 was big.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They have a very good shot in a couple of weeks. What do you think about the Karma thing before we move on to Surge?
Well,
I don't know. Is he confirmed? Was he just in the video? Like, is he the coach? I don't know.
I'm assume so. Like, I saw Hector joke about it on like the watch party a couple times. Like if he's gonna be serious and like lock in and wake up, like yes. But you know how Damon is. Like, dude, I'll text him and I'll get a text back 7 days later. He's like, I lost my phone, and I'm like, oh, okay. Or like he just like disappears off the face of the earth, play Rust for 3 months. Like he's just he likes the game, and I love him. He's just an interesting dude. But I think like they have like a second child on the way. Life's hitting him in the face. I think this is probably that moment where he's like, I need to have like a job, and I need to give this my all. And I think Damon has always had a very interesting way to look at things. Even you've talked about it, like his comms, like he wouldn't say a lot, but when he said shit, it meant something. Like I think that has a lot of value. Is he the total opposite of Ray when you think about historically? Yes. But do I think Damon could get to a place where he's a fantastic asset? 100%. I'm just not sold on the whole, oh, well, he won 3 rings, so he's definitely going to be an incredible coach. Like, get the fuck out of there with that. But I think he can be.
Yeah, I mean, that's like how it is in sports, right? Like some of your best coaches, they didn't play.
Yeah,
right. And some of your player coaches turned out horribly. I mean, that's just the way it can be. Yeah, I'm excited. Kind of like you said, I'm just interested to see if he really gets locked in. Like, you're gonna go to practice Monday through Friday. Like, you know what I mean? That's just not. It's not easy. He's never had to do that. Like,
how do you feel? How do you feel when you were a kid, bro? Like, it changed how you view things a little bit.
Yeah, but he's had one.
I know, but like another, it's just like I'm sure it's the same. Like, whew, here we go again. I remember how much babies fucking cost.
Yeah, maybe so. We'll touch on OpTic more when we discuss look at the champs bracket. But Seattle Surge, another surprising one. This was just a tournament of upsets here. They go 1-4 in the qualifiers. They lose 0-3 to Vegas. It wasn't a good look versus Vegas either. It was an ugly one. Typically this team bounces back. They did it last year. They've done it this year. They've had some inconsistency. That's why teams have asked for, roster changes, because their talent is there, but they're just never consistent enough. This was completely different. Like, this is now a couple of majors in a row? Yeah, because they lost to Minnesota at Major 4. They didn't bounce back from that major. They went 1-4 online. I'm not feeling good if I'm a Surge fan right now.
It's the end of the run. I mean, I think everyone's kind of known, like, either it's going to be Pred and Sib's team or Sib and Pred are gone. Like, I think everyone's known that. It's been looming. I think it's just like a realization now. And like this team probably, if the circumstances were different, would have broken up quite a while ago with all the ups and downs. But it's like, I don't know if it's hey, we're all homies, let's stick it out, in the sense of, who knows, maybe somebody like Lamar struggles to find a team next year. Or maybe it is the organization and the general manager thinking, we're going to lose those 2 young guys. We should probably have somebody on the roster that we can build around. I don't know exactly what it is, but Surge, as we know, it's done, bro. It's done. Like, we kind of know this is the final showing now. Hopefully they go out and have a hell of a tournament, because they've always been a team, I think, that like more than any other can beat anyone or lose to anyone. Go out and smack Faze or lose to London. I don't know. But
yeah, speaking of Faze, they have Faze winners round 1 of champs. So, I mean, that matchup, that always kind of
Yeah.
has some insane play. You get that in
Last
winners
dance,
round one.
dude. Last dance. See how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. The fact is, I mean, you still have you have Pred, you have Sim. Can they put it together for a weekend? They have the talent to do it, but not a good look here at the major. And they were in a position where they almost didn't make it to champs. Like, luckily, we all thought for Legion, like, man, this losers bracket's looking pretty good.
Right.
But we didn't know that New York was this talented. Well, I mean, we knew how good they were. Just they were going to figure it out.
Be that good. Yeah.
Yeah, this weekend. And yeah, New York figured it out. So Legion, they got eliminated. But okay, 7th, 8th. So we're done with our 9 through 12 teams. Ravens. Just gonna quickly touch on this one. You get a match win on LAN. A scene wins one in front of his friends and family, which we loved.
I got an elevator, dude. It was me and his whole family. I didn't even notice. I got on. Like, hey, we're Thieves family. I turned around, like 7 people on the thing. Like, what's up, guys?
Hey.
It was everybody. They were so friendly. It was great. So I was really happy for him. I know you and I are big fans of him. He's a good kid.
Yeah, I think the community is. I guess for you, maybe where does London go from here? What would you do?
Challengers.
What do you do here?
Can we do that thing like the Premier League does, where you just like
the relegation
and bring somebody up?
Yeah, relegation.
Nah, I don't know. I mean, it was really cool to see them get a win.
Has just not figured it out though. Like, how many years has it been now where the roster is just a mess?
Neither did Legion, and we saw steps this year. Like, I know they didn't make champs, but like, I think we saw improvements, and it was something to be excited about. Like, it just takes like a moment. It takes a player. It takes a team. Like, but like, yeah, they've been ass. I mean, to be fair, like EU COD always has kind of been, but
damn. That's why they're all Toronto fans. Yeah.
I just think of Joe going into G3 just not dropping a map. Or wait, did you lose one?
I won. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that darn map. I don't even know what map it was. Yeah, I guess like, well, what was different about like Legion though is they grabbed like Clay, right? They grabbed a vet, someone who was in a winning position and kind of built around. I feel like they've kind of had some vets. They've had like, Trey. They've had players with not like to the accolades of Clay, but someone where young players would want to be excited to be there. And it just feels like they've had all this talent. They've had Afro, you've had Gizmo. Like, give me something.
They need like who's the England player? It's disgusting. Bellington, is it? What was his name again?
Yeah, Bellington. Yeah.
Or Bellingham. They need the Hydra, bro. Like, I don't care if they need the like king, queen, like the whole whatever involved.
It's not supposed to be like Gizmo and Afro.
If there's like, okay, well, clearly they're not Hydra. Whoever is that next like actual god, they need to like get the law involved to make sure he plays for London and doesn't go to like another team. It's like, I mean, it's gotta be frustrating watching Ultra. Like that's where a lot of like your European or like some UK players have found success. I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but hopefully you some young god comes out, you're able to pick him up and build around it. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like a franchise. But
well, it's just tough. It's just tough winning. Because we know this. The fan base there is they're hungry. They are hungry, and like they could be a powerhouse in the CDL. And they just aren't right now. So hopefully they'll figure it out. Hopefully they will bounce back next year.
Want that more than anything. Good European teams. Yeah, want it so
absolutely.
Bad,
another 7th-day team, Legion, had a chance to qualify. They did not look good versus Faze. I think we were both thinking that was going to be a dogfight. It was not a dogfight. It was like a Pitbull and a Chihuahua fight. It wasn't a good one. They had a chance to make a loser's run, but yeah, they ran into New York, who they were absolutely cooking. But Tim, our stats guy from the CDL, he hooked us up with some good stats. And I just want to read this to you. The real reason Legion didn't make champs: 3-6 on the year versus London, LAG, and Florida throughout the season. That is not good. So there's what? I mean,
how many times did they beat the good team and then lose to the bad team like the next day?
Let's say 30 to 40 points left on the board right there. We'll give them a couple losses. They were also 3-6 versus the bottom 3 on the season versus the bottom 3, and 1-9 versus Atlanta and New York. Against all other teams, they were 14-6 on the year. So the tippity top ate them up, and the bottom just stole a lot of points. And I think too, you look at Major 4. Major 4 for me, when they start in winners bracket, there was a chance there to just like get some positive momentum. It felt like with Standy in what they lost 0-3 to New York, and then they lost 2-3 to Florida at Major 4. So they left a lot of points on the board. Bummer.
They definitely fucked up themselves many times, but they got screwed over by like everything they could. Dude, I swear to God, like
Yeah,
you and I
that
would
is
text
true.
each other like, dude, Clay is going through it. Clay is going through it. I just like, I hope he's not done. I mean, he's like a guy, kind of like Seth, I like thought could be done any year for the last couple of years. Like there'd just be a moment. But like they're very different in the sense Seth, like, well, one, he has enough money to never play again. I don't think it was ever about the money. And he really, I think he said to us, like, really enjoyed the camaraderie of the team and just that like team atmosphere. And I think I don't mean this as a slight to Seth at all, but I do think Clay has a bigger like competitive drive than he did. I think Clay has a bigger drive than most players. Like he is a psycho to want to win. So I think he will play until he like physically or mentally cannot do it anymore. So he will try to keep playing, I think. But well, I hope that's not it, dude. He's just good for the league, bro. He's just good for the league.
Well, and I think franchises are taking note. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. Clay turned Vegas around. Obviously, the roster they put together with TJ and Standy and Temp, you know, could it have been better? Absolutely. But they were a team that were very competitive. We'll see what happens. But I think Clay, I think if he wants to play in the league, he should get a spot. No doubt about it. There are some teams who are very young who could use a leader. Right, like a Boston Breach, for example, what we're just talking about.
Where some teams have done a really bad job building their brand and liquidated Legion instantly.
Yeah, so I think Clay, I think he should 100% keep playing if he wants to. I think there should be a spot available for him.
He wants to. It's just these last couple of years have torn him down. You know what? With his sister and like, hey, what did he tweet? Like this year has been the worst year of my life by far. Like I've talked to him like offline a good bit, and he's been struggling, man. And I hate it because I know he's got the itch, bro. He just wants to compete, and like life's throwing him, whether it's CDL or CWL or just family stuff. Like everything's hitting him, bro.
Yeah, if you missed that podcast with Clay, please go back and listen to it because his career is insane. He also has had some very unfortunate things happen to him, whether it's switching to 5v5 or going to 4v4. Yes. Or his team picking Crim over him. That's the 7th, 8th. Up next, 5th, 6th. Doesn't stop here. Upsets everywhere. Mutineers. They get top 6. Very excited for them. I will say, I was walking around the pro play area where they warm up and stuff just throughout the week, just asking teams about scrims, and everyone was like, this Florida team. I talked to Javi out. He was like, bro, like we legitimately thought we had a chance to win this thing. I think you saw a glimpse of you saw it versus OpTic. You didn't see it the next day because they got double 3-0 bopped, unfortunately. But supposedly their practice and their scrims coming into this event were insane. People were like, this Florida team is really, really good. Maybe if they were in a better chance to qualify for champs throughout the year, it would have been great to see this roster stay together. Because it sounds like they finally got a roster figured out and they were starting to fry.
Yeah, I'm like happy for Fickle Hobby because I it's probably biased because I fucking love the guy and he's funny, but like I think he is a very good player and kind of got the short end of the stick maybe the first time, but then Havoc steps down, now he's back in, and people are like, wow, this guy is really, really good. And it's been fun to watch, and these little moments of chance that like gave him another opportunity, but it was fun to watch them make the run. Fun to watch them get some wins. It's like, the whole time they're not playing at champs, like their last kind of rodeo thing.
Yeah. And props to Cap too. Cap really fried. He had some big individual moments. Just that day, I mean, they win only one match and then they lose 2 in a row. But that day, where even when they were losing, Cap still had some monster performances. So
he's talented as fuck, yeah.
Yeah, excited to see again. Just maybe where this team will end up. We've heard the rumors about the Miami Heretics. We've talked about that in the past. So we'll see another franchise who we'll wait to see what happens. Who the hell knows? Yeah. Thieves, they beat OpTic and London 3-0, and then they get 3-0 by Ultra. They've kind of talked about it themselves. They put themselves into a tough spot, going 1-4 in the qualifier. And when you put yourselves in losers 1, or just in losers in general, you can get a tough schedule. There's like a couple of matches. It's like the one where you play last match, I think the second day. You end up playing last match third without playing a match that day. It's not a fun one. And they just had that where I think it's just tough to kind of get in that match zone. It's got to be.
I always love that complaint from fans or teams like over the years, like, oh, we're playing last again. I'm like, well, had you won your match, you would not be in that slot.
Yes, it's not a fun slot to be in. Listen, with Thieves, I'm surprised that they went 1-4 online after winning a major. It felt like they just had the chance to kind of get going. I'm gonna assume for me, this is very similar to the OpTic thing. Kind of a wake-up call. It could be the best thing for this team.
I view it's really weird, like how different things are. But how I said Faze back in Cold War, like that wake-up call. Faze we'll talk about them soon, but totally kind of different right now. But Thieves is closer to that Faze scenario for me than like OpTic are, in the sense of like how Thieves ended last year, how good we know they are, and then you just like have that dog shit month. Like, yeah, that definitely they are. You know how like Drazah is and how they all are like psychos about the game. Like they are going to be going very, very, very hard leading into champs, and they will be a force 100%.
And this is something I want to talk about. And listen, I know they have practice and they have scrims results. They lose 3-0 to Ultra. They play them on Hotel Hardpoint and Hotel Control. They also play them on Hotel Search. That went to around 11. Like, it was a close match. If I'm a team playing Toronto or New York, can we just not play them on a bunch of hotels? First off, you and I talked about this. The way the Hotel Hardpoint spawns are, by the way, not great. A lot of randomness. That's why a lot of the times it comes down to the wire. Hotel Control, as fun as it is to cast, right? And it has these great moments. To play it, I don't think I would do it. And I'm going to tell you why.
Like
it
London
takes one moment for a 3 or 4 dead on defense and you lose. And I know that like that creates a lot of excitement. As a caster, I'm good. But if I'm a player, I don't think I could do it. Because like if I'm playing defense, I should at least have like one more chance, right? At least at one of the zones. Maybe not the first zone, like the more mid-map zone or whatever. But because of their positioning, you're just kind of screwed. I mean, it happened in New York. It's happened all Ultra. Like there's just these moments where bang, 3 dead, you lose. And it's just like, I just didn't love the vetoes. I didn't love the vetoes of a lot of these teams playing New York and Toronto because of the hotel hardpoints, the hotel searches, the hotel controls. I think it's just a little bit too much. I'm hoping it changes at champs.
I love the look of the map, layout.
No, I love casting it. Again, I mean, hey, if you want to keep playing it, that's fine by me. I just think we've seen them on like Hydra. We've seen them on Mercado. Maybe you don't want to play Ultra on Mercado. I just feel like there's got to be some other options. Maybe that's what they're talking about. But I guess if there's a moment you're going to mess up, maybe let it happen here.
Yeah, sure.
The whole Drazah thing. That
I don't know what's going on, dude. Like, it's
basically the FU Drazah chants, which we heard in the venue, to now people are like, he's getting too much hate. Now he deserves it. I mean, dude, it's part of it. It's part of the sport, right?
He talks shit. He loves. I don't think it bugs him that much. Like, at least I don't think so. It's whatever to me. If he's gonna want to run his mouth and be that guy that talks shit, it comes back.
Well, I think like he tweeted, I forget what it was, but that's what kind of got everybody going.
If it was something that was like, I don't know, homophobic or racist or sexist, like something that wasn't just fuck you Drazah, I would care. But it's just fuck you Drazah. Like, he's an adult. He'll be all right.
Yeah. We're not wrong.
That's how I view it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. So hopefully he gets fired back up though. That's really it.
Combination of their like poor performance plus that team is going very, very hard in the paint right now.
Yeah. So they finish 5th, 6th. The hometown squad, Toronto Ultra, they finished 4th. I know they would have loved to go on further. They beat New York in a game 5. That's how they started off their bracket. Versus NYSL, they beat the champs right away. You then lose to Faze. You lose all 3 respawns. You beat LA Thieves, and then you lose a game 5 to NYSL. I mean, the fact of it is,
it's just tough.
yeah, a good tournament. I think you saw the passion out of Scrap and just how frustrated they were. You know, they wanted to play in the crowd. Fact is, they went 2-5 in Hardpoint at the major. They were 4-2 in Search, 3-1 in Control. This to me is a team. If they get to a 50%, like the way we used to talk about Faze, if they get to a 50% like Hardpoint win, they have a chance to win every series.
So we've talked about Toronto for a long time, to be honest. Like back with their like previous team. So good Destiny and Control. Give me 50-50 in Hardpoint, they might win an event. Yeah, that's why Faze and them battled for so long. There were a lot of similarities there. Yeah, no, I agree with you. They're a fun team to watch. It was really cool to have the event in Toronto. I know they were devastated, but like I guess I kind of view Major 5 as practice for the champs. It's so close. Like I know there's a lot of money, but it's practice for champs. It's a barometer, whatever you want to call it. Pretty good event. Only team to beat New York, beat Thieves. We'll talk about Faze, but I don't know. I don't think it's like I don't think you should be that upset about it.
Yeah. I mean, they would have loved to, win in front of their fans.
I mean, like bigger picture, like for champs.
No, bigger picture for sure. Bigger picture for sure. But also, as you said, contender, no doubt about it. At champs. Third place, a Rokkr. Surprise. How the hell did this happen? I'll tell you how. They had the OpTic bracket, which we talked about. They beat Boston and Florida. They had the opportunity on the top side
I have no idea how good they are. No idea.
Middle of the pack teams, and they did. Because after they beat Boston and Florida, they got shit on. They got smoked by Atlanta, and they got smoked by NYSL.
They could be worse than previous versions of the team. They can be better. I have no idea, Joe. I love Attach. Cool to see him back at it. What's up, dude?
Yeah. I mean, this a wild card at champs. I don't think they are a contender to win.
No, they're absolutely fucking not.
Well, I wasn't sure how you felt about it.
Why that line even come out of your mouth?
Well,
Wait, I contender to win champs. No, hard no.
But I mean, I guess there's some room for improvement these next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
with Attach back in the lineup.
How many weeks did they have before like the tournament? Like 2?
Yeah, something like that.
We'll see. I don't know, bro.
Attach has done some crazy shit. Cammy and Bance. Who knows what can happen with this team? Sure.
I love the team. I just like they didn't really beat anyone. I don't know, bro. It's the weirdest third place result ever.
Yeah, I mean they just had that game 5 win, but yeah, I think the part that is frustrating, like they get to that winners final and then like they don't put up much of a fight versus Faze in New York. We cast that? We casted Faze, yeah.
I don't remember a single moment. They just got clotheslined.
I'm going to go back and look at the scores. Hold on, let me see.
I have no way. I couldn't even guess.
Oh, it's 250 to 150 on Hydra, a 6-1 LSCLO Search, and a 3-0 LSCLO Control.
That match sucked.
And then versus NYSL, they lost 198 to 250, and then 6-1 Search and 3-1 Control. So yeah, they got fried.
They beat bad teams. They lost to good teams.
Middle of the pack team. There we go. That's what they call them. Somehow finished third. So I guess great result for them. All right, Faze. Atlanta Faze, second place runners up. Okay.
I have a lot of thoughts on this.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
I think if listen, you're a 1 Celium kill away from probably winning this, 1 round away from winning this thing. New York obviously wins all their search and destroys. If I was a Faze fan, how would I be feeling? I guess I'm feeling pretty good because their respawn looked very much improved for champs. But this was a chance to win another major. I mean, it was there. It was literally in the palm of Celium's hands. It was in his afro. It was in his hair. Just saying hello.
Guy's looking right. Guy right in front of him. Oof.
It was a tough round. But what? Beat Vegas, beat Toronto, beat Ultra, lose to New York 3-4. Game 7.
I went from pretty much zero confidence in like them actually winning champs. Like they could have done it. Like this team is capable of anything. the respawn was so poor this year. If you watch the Simp episode, I was even a bit of a dick. I got into him like I was like, how are you guys struggling this much? And I know talking to Crowder how much work they put in, and it's been a circus trying to figure it out. But this was the first time where I think I wasn't convinced in the qualifier that like the hard point and control was better. But like after this weekend, I was like, I see the improvements. I see Simp not trying to do too much and just going back to being Simp who's just shitting on people on the map. I'm now convinced they can win champs, and they might be the favorite for me. I saw enough that weekend personally. And I think, talking to Crowder about it, he views it like you did. Like, listen, they've won champs. They've won so many tournaments. Like, it's a loss at a major, sure. But I don't think any of them really give a shit that much. It is about champs. And I think overall, if I looked at it as a Faze fan or Faze player, fuck yes. They were bad.
I'm sure the players are frustrated.
Yeah, 100%. But like,
that's another second. I mean, this team has a lot of seconds. Big
picture though for champs. I would think as a player, you're like, wow, we can actually win this thing. I don't think that was a thought.
It's
like,
so weird. It's so weird to me how like over the year it's changed. How like the majors, obviously they're big events and they're great moments, but it's sort of like it never used to be that way. Obviously, because champs was middle of the year at one time, then it was like end of the year, but you had all these other things, and it was just kind of a build up. And now with the CDL, it's sort of like every tournament is in preparation for champs in a way, right? You first of all, you have to make it, but then like even this one, I mean, they'd love to win that. I would like to win that one.
I mean, they were like, when we had Simp on, they were 30 and 38 in hardpoint, which this team is like bananas. They what? They go 5-1 at the major. I think 6-1 the qualifier. Control, which has been kind of booty. They went 5-0. They're finally back on like their control bullshit. Now, listen, I know they lost 3 searches, but am I worried about their search game overall? Hell no. We've joked about like their streak is the dumbest goddamn streak of all time because search is so fluky in this game with the timings and how dead he works and the sound whoring. Like, it's fun to watch, but it's not great. They're I don't understand how they won 18 or whatever in a row. But like the respawn consistency is way more important than the search in the sense of like they're good search players. I think they'll be all right. It seems that the work paid off. I guess if it was Faze or any other team, like I think New York, similar story we'll talk about. Like I know how hard they were working. It's paying dividends now. Love that shit.
Yeah, I mean they were 2-1 in search leading up to the final. They lost 3, so they finished 2-4 in search and destroy. I mean you lose 3 to New York. It's crazy to me. Yeah, but I guess you're there. And again, if that Celium kill happens,
I'll get roasted for this, but they won the final. They won. They won.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a tough that situation. Maybe game 6 happens a little differently. If they end up winning that map, you never know. But if you look at the overall stats for the series, they outslay. Besides Hydra, everyone's negative on New York. Their controls looked really, really good. That Expo was insane. Priest had 3 kills. Yeah, they won their hard points. I guess we'll see what happens. So if you're a Faze fan and you have that, but it's just another one of those moments where this team is in a position to win a tournament and something crazy happens.
Like, do you think? I know people love to call me a Faze dick rider. Sorry, they've been so good for a while. My bad. But like, I'm wondering. I feel like most fans and players that watched that series or that weekend, I bet there's a decent amount that come out thinking like Faze is the better team and the favorite for champs over New York who just beat them. It's one series. Like I don't know. That's how I see it. But
yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I can get the argument for sure. I guess the last thing I'll say for Faze before, hopefully this doesn't then focus them back onto like their search hardcore. And then we get back to that thing where like it flip flops because it always feels like they have a mode that flip flops.
I don't think they focus on search, bro. I think they just are like good at search and they sort of like have.
Yeah, but champs is different, man. You have to. True. There's dude. Basically, what happened to them, what New York did to everyone, that is prep.
Well, I don't think they need. I don't know how to word it. Like they are just naturally a very solid search core. I don't think they need a ton of prep. I think continue to focus on the respawn improvements personally. But.
Yeah. Also, champs finals best of 9. If they end up getting to that final, like maybe that'll help down. Obviously, this being best of 7, the tournament would have went on, but it didn't. It was about 7. New York. From losers round 1, they end up winning the tournament. An unbelievable run. Obviously, they lose game 5 to Toronto to kick the tournament off. Then they beat Guerrillas, Vegas, Florida, which, okay, those 3, whatever. Then they beat Ultra again. They beat Rokkr. They beat Atlanta Faze. Hydra is your MVP. He was unreal.
He's cheating, bro.
Like, unbelievable stuff out of him. They were 8-2 in Hardpoint. Their only losses were to Faze in the final. They were 9-2 in Search and Destroy over the weekend. They won 3 versus Faze, and they were 4-4 in Control. They lost both of those versus Faze.
So we had Simp on the podcast, and we had Skies, and they both said almost identical things about like Hardpoint and what they were working on and what the problems were. Like literally, like verbatim, the stuff that they were really, really working on. And I just felt really happy that like it had to be a very frustrating year to like win, and then the struggles that you like know where you're able to like reach to, like what your pinnacle is, you just can't get back to it. It's not like OpTic last year who had like injury stuff and team change, like same core, same team, like just trying to figure it out. I was very happy for them. I just love the players on the team. And Hydra's cheating.
Yeah, listen, I know Hydra's was nuts, but I'm going to give props to, first of all of them. But yeah, I think Skies' sniper in Search had a huge impact, not only on Hotel, but also Mercado. If you watch the way that they play Mercado, teams are very afraid of his snipe, just the way he rotates with it. He's very quick with it. They obviously had their prep done, though, for Search and Destroy. You could just tell this was a big focus for them. They were using a ton of frags, which I've seen a couple, but they had like 3. And they would just kind of like time them together. They had nade spots. All I'm saying is people are going to be going back and watching what the hell they were doing.
Well, what's the big thing with frags? Something like the trophy doesn't pick them up as well, or they might not, or something like that?
Yeah, I think you can also they blow up like in from their range.
Yeah. Dude, they didn't do anything that special. They just got back to
their form.
Yeah, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I think their Search just stands out. Just them being 9-2 and obviously being Faze 3 times. Their Hardpoint, if you would have told me they were 8-2 over a weekend, that wouldn't surprise me too much because they won Major 1. With the players on this team, I think they could be an incredible Hardpoint team, and that's what we've seen. But the Search being that good is wild. And yeah, as Sky said, just these little things.
Stats.
Uh-huh.
Dude, Hydra, when I say he's cheating, I don't get it. Watch his POV. It's like he's walling. His awareness is insane. I don't even know who it is. It Prime Seth that comes to mind for you? Just run around do-da-do-da-do-da. I know where everyone is. Oh, it's time to L trigger. Here we go. It just looks like he's walling. He's not. But he's just, it's nuts, bro. I don't know any other POV right now that makes me think this guy's walling his balls off.
Yeah, Seth was kind of definitely one of those players where he would L trigger if just felt like someone would appear. But yeah. I think if you watch Hydra and his point of view, what really stands out to me is this. In a round of Search and Destroy, they'll have a default strategy.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll get to a position lurk up to a spot, he'll find a kill, and he just knows. He knows where the defense is because he has the info, and it's just bang. All right, this is the next gunfight, and then bang, this is the next gunfight. That ability isn't easy, but it just feels
Cold War Simp. Cold War Simp, bro.
Yeah, it's just they always know where the next gunfight is. And obviously, I think that's due to, first of all, the team getting him into that spot, but also him knowing this is exactly what is going to happen as soon as I find this first kill. And it does. There was just rounds where it was bang, 3. All right, round done. It was what the fuck?
It just looks so casual. It's a lot of the stuff he does, it's so not premeditated, but it's so he's so confident and decisive and where he's going, where people are going to be that kill 3 or 4. He'll kill 3 or 4, and it's not even I don't even feel myself going crazy. You 180 somewhere. It's this crazy Abezy's 1v4. What the fuck? Like that was insane. You'll get an ace on a Hydra. It's like he's sleeping. He's like, you know what I mean? Like it's like he's Tim Duncan, bro, out there. Just big fun of
funsies.
I don't know. It's wild.
Yeah, but we'll just go over his stats. 1.3 overall, a 1.33 in hardpoint, a 1.74 in search and destroy, a 1.0 in control. Oof. I mean, those are some of the most insane stats I have ever seen in a tournament ever. I'm sure there's some crazier ones, but props to him. And to New York, winning this stage 5, it's been a rocky year after major number 1, but they're able to kind of be in a prime position to win champs now.
I think there's a lot of pressure on him to just be that guy because like Skies has been a pretty consistent AR over the past few years, but like I think Priesta obviously has been wildly inconsistent these last few. Kismet is either God himself coming down from heaven, or he's solid, but like there's this form he hits. Hydra like needs to be that consistent wrecking ball, and he just is.
Yeah. What I talked about with the Search and Destroy, they were 1-10 in the past 3 majors. In that game mode, they again 9-2 in this one. So we talk about vetoes and whatnot. I don't think they're going to get a lot of hotel Search and Destroy moving forward. That's probably going to be vetoed. They were 4-1 on hotel, but they were 3-0 on Mercado. They've played hotel Search and Destroy 14 times since stage 4. Just for a comparison stat, 8 other teams have played it 14 or less times the entire season. So this is their home. Another hotel team similar to Ultra. I just don't know how much you're going to play that at champs. So you have to adjust if you are in New York.
I mean, I think everyone's got to adapt a little bit, try to widen the map a little before, but
yeah, I mean, you're talking best of 9, like, right? You're obviously building up to this moment to be proficient in every single mode and every single map, but it's just not always that. It's not easy. Everyone's got advantages and maps you're not as good at.
You know what I love? Like a little off topic, but like the control thing. How many times do we say it's stat over the weekend? Like they are 2-700 when they lose the control. They're 1,001 when they win the control. Like it was some wild stat, and they went like 4-4. I mean, I guess maybe you proved yourself a little bit. Like we can win in other ways, type thing. But dude, we must have brought that up every time they played. It was such an absurd stat. But the hardpoint and search were so good. The control was sort of like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So that was Major 5. We're moving in now towards the end of the year. The fun part. Well, I mean, every part's fun, but the crazy part.
Yeah.
But before we get into maybe showing the champs bracket, just doing initial thoughts, because you and I are going to have a champs episode, obviously.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far into it.
I think MVP combo is a big topic right now. I think leading into this major, the community consensus was very much Abezy, the year that he's had. And I get it, but I think Hydra has made this a very difficult decision for those people who have to make that decision.
You can pick either one. For me, it's this. Listen, I love Abezy, but I think you saw this weekend. I don't want to go too far down this, but like I know for a fact Simp was focusing on too much and tried to help other people instead of just. He has some qualities that are really good for a lot of players. But when you're fucking God, you need to go out and be God. And I think he finally started to like get in that rhythm again and just be like one of the best players on the planet. And when Simp is like that, Abezy can have an off tournament, have off search, and they get second or win a tournament. Hydra can't. I think Hydra, like I was saying, being that like Rock, he has to be that. He has to be that for that team to win, to do well.
Yeah.
Whereas Abezy, I don't even know that's like a fair thing because like, stats-wise they were both gods, but I think there's more pressure and importance for Hydra to perform like that. It's a big thing for me.
We have some stats as well, a graphic, kind of comparing the two. Now, here's the thing I will say. Hydra's going to have better sets. They play very different roles, right? I mean, you have an entry sub on one side. You have a very much slaying sub on the other. Like, this would be more fair if we compared Abezy to Kismet. And like comparing Hydra to Simp, right? Like
there's never been anyone like Abezy. I mean,
right. There's never been someone as consistent as Abezy has been in the entry role. He has changed it forever. People's expectations. Before him, it was hopefully you get a 0.9. That was literally the entry role.
He's changed the game more than probably any player ever. Like
1.17 overall for Hydra and hardpoint, or just overall, and hardpoint 1.2, S&D 1.27, control KD 1.09. But the 2 event wins is a big thing. For me, I kind of like the way, like, I look at the way like the MVP does the NBA does MVP. I think for most, it's usually a player on like a number 1 seed or 2 seed who has an incredible individual year. The other option is normally a player who has carried a team into like a top 4 position. And I think now, because New York finishes with the 3rd seed. I don't think anyone had New York top 3 this year.
Well,
finishing. I mean, like, maybe you did, but like,
well, because they won the first event. Like, what are we talking
before pre?
Yeah. No, you're right.
I mean, coming into this, like, we're thinking maybe they could compete on a Sunday for a couple of days. Maybe they win one. Like, they have the potential to do it. But to grab like the 3rd seed, it's hard to argue against Hydra being MVP now.
It's like, what do you put more stock in? Like, Abezy doing it in the hardest role in the game. He has changed the game forever. He is literally a fucking freak of nature. Or Hydra, who like also is, but it's just a very different role. Like, you're playing to sort of just get those kills, take your time, find your spots. Like, it's just very, very different versus like, hey, I'm gonna be a crackhead. I'm gonna hammer through 2 doors. You know I'm coming. You're getting shit on. Like, it's very, very different. But I think for me, it is what I said. His importance to the team. Like, if Abezy has an off event, Faze can still win. If Hydra has a 0.9, that team gets fucking smoked. Yeah,
and how much you kind of put the team consensus into it. Average placing on the year, that might be the one place where if you're Abezy or Faze, you're really arguing it for you. You have a 2.4 average where you had like a last place if you were in New York. Their average placing at majors is like a 5.2. That might be like the argument, but
is the expectation they come into hand there? Like,
yes, right. The human aspect, sort of like, yeah, well, Faze is always top 3, right? Like,
literally for 4
I feel
years,
so bad because like Abezy should have so many more. Like, he should have so many accolades. Like,
they're judged different than like any team. It's like it's weird because picking in this stuff, and they probably try to do it in sports. You want to have like this even bar for everything, but like when you're that good for that long, it just sort of becomes expectations for Faze and expectations for everybody else. It happens naturally because they've just been on top.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. You're good. They don't see you. I don't know. I'm cool with either one at this point. I'm cool with either one. I just feel bad because like even for Abezy, like, he's had some MVP caliber events, and I think like Simp or Cell or one of his teammates probably won it. Like he's probably like, can I just get a trophy? Like,
yeah, you're fighting over less of the pie or whatever you want to say. I guess like Hydra's out there eating. Abezy's like, he's got to play at the pace he does, or okay, yeah, Cell will get the kill, Simp will get the kill, Slash will get the kill. By the way, I don't know if we talked about it. Slasher had a hell of a tournament.
No, he did.
He really did.
No, he played exceptionally well. I think bounced back after stage 4 and major 4, which he did not play well in. I don't believe so. So great to see from him.
What did he have overall? Actually, I wanted to talk about that earlier. I forgot. Like, what did he?
Major 5, Slasher 0.98 in hard point, so whatever. 1.35 though in search and 1.66 in control. Fried in control.
Yeah, he had a fucking event. Yeah, that's very, very good.
Yeah, great event. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of when he turns up. But that was the MVP. We'll see what happens. Rookie of the year, I don't think there's much to even. I think it's crap for sure, right? I think Ghosty had a chance if they won this event.
Yeah.
But the last definitely hurts that.
I actually do think Ghosty has been a bigger deal for, like, Ultra was already a good team. OpTic has, like, Ultra was like a top 2 team for a long time, like pre-scrap. OpTic has been a disappointment for 5 years.
4, 5, 6.
I think since the Dynasty team, a disappointment for 5 years, right? Like, they have been. So I think Ghosty coming in, I think the kid is more important and more crucial than people realize. I think he's an absolute beast. But you can't like just give it to him for that. Like, you need to win. That's like, I I think the winning is more important than the turnaround probably for OpTic, because like OpTic are always like, had the decent run every now and then, but
Yeah,
I'm excited for his future.
I won an event last year, that major one. That was their.
They get like one a year, bro.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. No, I'm gonna just clarify it so people don't take it out of context. Like they're not always in. What?
Take what out of context? Sorry.
What like your OpTic thing?
Well,
like, since the
I mean,
Dynasty
like,
team, like not always in finals,
haven't,
not always like competing for the top spot.
Not like,
That's what
I'm saying like since CDL came out, not like Ultra has. Like Ultra for the most part, like over the course of Cold War, like they've just been sort of a championship Sunday, maybe making a run type team. Pre-scrap, and OpTic wasn't really that. And I think Ghosty's been very important to their improvements. I really, really do. Like more crucial to their team succeeding than Scrap maybe at Ultra. But
oh no, man, Scrap's pretty crazy.
He's disgusting. He is disgusting. But like
sometimes he's the only guy shooting back and respawns. That's
his comms are dead. Dead.
Yeah, well, they're dying. They're dying.
Yeah, and Ghosty's like Napoleon Dynamite leading a war. Like it's
Napoleon Dynamite's leading wars.
Not Napoleon Bonaparte. Why Napoleon Dynamite?
I'll throw it over the mountains.
Holy hell.
Throw it over the mountains. But yeah, I think Rookie of the Year snatch up. All right, let's get to the community questions for the end of this episode. Let's start with this first one. This first one is from AFC Mitchell. How do you feel about Warzone event being in London, and do you understand that EU fans being frustrated at the lack of events in Europe? I don't know if World Series Warzone is confirmed. I believe that is a rumor at the moment to be in London. Just want to throw it out there. If it happens, great. Cool. My response would be this. To events, not having more events in Europe or the UK, like specifically, I would love to be there. But based on the conversations that we've had with the league, that team needs to show interest in running an event with the CDL, and I don't believe that they have. So that's kind of on them. Like I would love if Champs was in London, but I just know how difficult that is for the production team that's based in North America. Right? Like I know how hard that would potentially be. So for the majors, like, yeah, if London wants to do it, I'm in. I have no problem with that. Like, I'd love it.
I'd love it. Yes. Yeah. It's not the CDL. It's like, fuck you, London.
And if like there was another European team or a team that wanted to throw an event in Europe, I'm in. Secondly, I will say this: if it does happen, EE has run like Apex events out of the Copper Box. That's probably where it's like they're the most suited, like where they've had BR events. So they could probably do that same thing there.
Well, who knows how things change like years from now too, with like the EE acquisition and like an ARM now in Europe. Like who knows? Sure. But there might be more potential for stuff, right? I would think.
Yeah, I mean, if the Warzone event happens there, I'll be very happy for. I mean, at least you guys have something COD to have over there.
FIFA kill.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm down for that though. That's my answer to that. Next one is from our guy Paulie. Paulie guy. Wait, is it working? Load up.
Yeah, I clicked it and went to a different tweet. I faded.
Yeah, what the heck?
Here, I'm gonna manually copy and paste 1 second.
You got it?
Prime. Weird, like the hyperlink's not working. Like an extra letter or something. I got it. Would love to know, is there a special way to prepare for champs, or is it the same scrims reviewed during the regular season? Teams try to finesse playstyle one way during champs preparation, then pull out something completely different at champs. I don't think I've like heard of that since like Pat said they'd like throw like online matches, like let people like slam them. And then
there is a bigger preparation in match play. Okay, you now know for weeks what. Oh, we didn't look at the champs bracket. We'll get back to that though. You're gonna know for weeks what your winners round 1 match is. You're gonna know for weeks what your winners round 2 and losers round 1 match is for the most part. Like you have a good guessing game. Your preparation is a lot different in the fact of, okay, Maven and I could probably sit here as coaches of this team. How are vetoes going to go? What do we want? What do they want? What are we going to meet in the middle? And maybe how can we throw a few curveballs in here? That's really it. And we're going to let them pick their best search and destroy, but we're going to hard counter the shit out of them. I would say it is much different in that you have weeks to prep for this match.
And I think this is where the rabbit out of the hat comes into play. And it has sometimes in the past few years where, Faze and what's the goddamn app that I always forget the name of?
Yeah.
Apocalypse. there have been others. It was Empire. I forget which one was like their ace in the
Azir
hole. Like
Cave.
you have a map that you get very good at, and the other teams, they have a lot going on, and all they look at is like scrim data, let's say, or they don't even look at scrim data for maybe a specific match in map and move or somebody. They look at like how they did in the actual matches, and like the team is like sucked at this, but in scrims they've worked so hard and they've gotten way better, and like they don't expect it to come into play, and they just get like shell shocked. Like, I think that if you're going to save that ace in the hole, it comes out now, right? Like not at some other major like that.
100%. Yeah, maybe some nice strats, but I think really when you look at champs, you watch the vetoes. That is the big thing. Look at the vetoes, and then respawn. It's pretty difficult, but specifically in search and destroy, you're prepping a lot differently going into an event. And again, obviously, for a major, it's the same thing. But I think even it's just you have more time here. You have so much time to look at data, look at their matches, how they've played things, because a lot of those default rounds aren't going to change, right? It's just sort of how you go back and forth.
It's more time, it's more money. I think players, even though you might think as a fan it's wild to be like jaded over a $500,000 tournament, but like it happens.
I think it's wild. I'm one of those people.
I hear you, but like you play 5 majors over the course of the year. Champs always is just that different one, man. The level of intensity is going to be higher than everything else.
Yeah,
you're not wrong.
Jay, Anarchy, what are your thoughts on the personal chants such as FU Drazah, and do they think it's hilarious and a good thing for the crowd to give off a home advantage, or is it not right and should be chanted at events? I think we kind of answered that, but I mean, it's part of sports. It's part of like fan. I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for? Fandom, like culture.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't cross the line. Yeah.
Oh, good. Whatever. And it'd be one thing if like, I don't know, Drazah was an actual like saint that like just went around in his part time as like a fireman and just saved cats from trees. But no, he chirps, dude. Like it's whatever.
Is that what you're gonna do? Are you a part-time firefighter?
I don't know how I got to that show. I
was
playing Warzone ranked by myself at 2:30 in the morning. You're right.
Last thing before we go, let's show the champs bracket because I skipped over that like an idiot. Absolute idiot. Faze versus Surge winners round 1 going to be crazy. Again, like if Surge is going to do something, it starts off with this. They have the potential to Ultra Thieves. Again, because NYSL ended up winning, they took the 3rd seed from Ultra. So that forces Ultra Thieves in.
That's the banger.
Was probably the prime matchup in winners round 1. And that top side of the bracket is kind of gross. I would say there's 3 potential winners between Faze, Ultra, and Thieves of COD champs, and they're going to be going at it. They are going to be going at it. You then have OpTic Breach. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say it kind of depends on like the bottom side, like how much stock you put in Subliners. Like, is this team, have they hit form and they are going to be a force? I think they're going to be, but it's just weird because this year they were so not that. It looks so stacked, and it still is kind of, but like they're peaking, Thieves struggling. See?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. OpTic Breach, I think OpTic going to be very happy with this winners round 1 matchup. And this side of the bracket, like obviously they didn't play NYSL, and NYSL just lost the last event. But I mean, you don't have Thieves winners round 2, right? Like you have a chance to potentially play like Faze in a winners final again, like you just had this last event where you've owned that matchup. I don't know if a bracket is going to get much better if you are OpTic and an OpTic fan to make a run and get into a top 3 position. This to me is it.
Should be in a final or winners final.
Yeah, I agree. I think they have a chance to do it here. And then Subliners versus Rokkr. I think you have to give so much. Love to.
Let's not talk too much about it. We're gonna do a whole episode on it, but yeah,
we're gonna do a whole episode. We're gonna build a bracket. So yeah, that's it for today, though. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. They saw the fans, the Ultra fans, into Toronto for running a great event. It really was. I love going to that city. I have so much fun when I go there. Hopefully it keeps happening.
Thank God the city was great because our matches were shit. But thank you everybody for watching. And
what do you have for us? Next week we'll have another one with a guest, and then the week after that we'll have the champs preview.
I'm gonna go make love to Diablo like it's a
You cut out. Go ahead, try that again.
I'm gonna make love to Diablo like it's a woman.
Have a good night.